Well, S. Chuck Kline is my formal name. My name is Samuel Kline. I got the name Chuck in the Navy. I drove a Higgins boat. This is me. This is my bow hookman. And this is my stern hookman. And you see they're both machine gunners. They're in the gun pit. And then you have 36 fully equipped, up to 40, depending on how much equipment they have. When you get close to the beach, you gunner and try to get up as high as you can so they don't have to walk in the water any deeper than they have to. We were with the USS Wasatch, the amphibious group command ship of the 7th Amphib Fleet. As a command ship, we didn't carry troops. They put our landing craft in the water. We would go over to the troop ship that was assigned to us. But if it was rough and that boat would be going like this, it was all you could do. It was all I could do to handle it, to keep it up against the ship. And as these guys are coming down and jumping into the boat, that's about sometimes 80 to 125 feet from the deck down to the boat. And they were carrying equipment and ammunition and guns and machine guns and bazookas and flamethrowers. And if that boat would lurch or go down all of a sudden and he was in the air jumping, if he missed the boat and went between the boat and the ship, he's done. I was really afraid of that type of situation, and it was all I could do to keep that boat in there all the time. Out of the 5 landings we made, we only ever made the one landing in the first wave, and that was Morotai, New Guinea. There wasn't really any combat because the Japanese went to the other side of the island. Consequently, we thought, gee, this is a piece of cake. Well, we're going to go back heroes and we'll tell them all kinds of stories. Well, we found out what it was all about on the next one, because that was Lady. And Lady, of course, was one of the toughest landings in the Philippines. When our ships opened up, my goodness, we hit the beach, and then it's up to the troops to get to the tree line as quick as they could to get any kind of cover. The mortars that were buried in the sand and machine gunners that were Japanese, that had, where the troops overran them, went right over the top of them. They would start shooting now because they had nobody to combat them, you know, except for us in the boats. So that's when we had to start shooting. Every now and then these crazies would come out. They'd have a bandana with a Japanese flag wrapped, Japanese emblem wrapped around their head, and they'd run out of the tree line down to the boats and have a grenade with the pin pulled, and he would get close enough to you that he could possibly get that grenade in your boat. We were very, very lucky, you know, considering 5 landings. That was a real full 2 days that we spent there before we took off. From there, we went to Lingayen. What was terrible in Lingayen, we had a tremendous amount of suicide planes, Zeros, Betty bombers. We were close to a Kitkin Bay carrier that they were diving on hit, and they hit it. I think we were on the beach about 3 times maybe. And then as soon as you get back to the ship, they're already planning the next landing. So now we're getting ready to go to Mindanao. The Japanese Navy was there in force, and we had the American Navy, the British Navy, some Canadian ships, and I think there might have even been a French ship. And we were still just about even. That's how big the Japanese Navy was. Some of these battle wagons could shoot 25, 27 miles, you know. They're within 3 miles of each other, and they're just pounding the hell out of each other. Oh, you talk about the 4th of July. I mean, the whole sky is lit up. They didn't know which way it was going to go yet. If we knew that we couldn't make it, we had to scuttle our ship because we couldn't leave the command ship for them if they would come in force. So everybody's scuttling around. We're trying to get our boat ready and whatever. And about 2-3 hours later, we get the call that it's going our way. And I think we're going to make it. The next 3 days, they were out picking up survivors. Because from, you know, when they had battleships and cruisers and destroyers pounding each other that close, many, many, many sailors were in the water and probably got shark bitten and who knows what, you know, because there was so many casualties. But we got ready to leave there and we went to Balikpapan, Borneo. Balikpapan was an oil center, and we needed that bad, both for ships and for planes and whatever. Well, we got there and it was an all-American fleet landing there, all Australian infantry. Our ships blew up a lot of the, as they were bombarding, blew up a lot of the oil thing, and the Japanese opened the oil thing and let it come down over and into the water and then put it on fire. And then we had to go through it to get to the beach. And if you ever go through black burning smoke, you can't see anything. I told them there's a possibility if we couldn't get in the boat, you know, it's plywood, our boat. But as long as you keep moving, there's no problem, you know. And we got hung up a little bit and said, we may have to swim. And if you do, I said, I'm going to have to try to hop this thing off and get it in. But I said, we had training in this. And he looked up at me and he unbuckled his .45. And I'll never forget his words. Where he said, Yank, you're the coxswain, we're the infantry. If we get in that water, you go first. So I got the boat. We went in all the way. It was a mess. He got in there and then tried to unload, and guys were slipping all over. You couldn't stand up straight right, and couldn't move the equipment the way you wanted to. And it's a good thing that the Japanese had pretty well left. Now, when my boat was aboard and I wasn't making a landing, and my general quarters, my fighting position was up there, we had a lot of aerial attacks. But you got to remember, we had over 100 and some ships in this convoy, and they were all shooting at the same time, sometimes at the same plane, like 100,000 4th of Julys, you know, except that they're dangerous. While I was up there, I was spotting these planes coming, and we were under attack. You got to remember now, there's a lot of ships that are firing at these guys. When I looked up, he passed absolutely directly overhead. And I remember I had field glasses now, and I'm looking right into the bomb bay and could see those bombs as plain as they were sitting in my lap. Passed over me, our 5-inch gun back here got the fatal shot. I had my field glasses on him all the way down, all the way across and all the way down. So when he hit the water, you know, I took the glasses away. He was gone already. I couldn't believe it, you know. And that was the scariest time in the Navy, period.